And then lastly is venue control. Access to guns, alcohol, tobacco, illicit substances, and the media. Those are the 5 subsets, as it were, that we know to be particularly important in creating an environment in our home that is healthy for adolescents and which has the effect of protecting them from undue harm. Now, I'm not going to talk about each one of those individually, but I'm going to discuss it in a broad way. Ladies and gentlemen, as parents, we must communicate to our children. We must establish for our children, as a matter of fact, that our home is a safe environment. An environment that is protected. An environment that is managed. It isn't just a meeting place where people come and go helter-skelter. A mother called me just a few weeks ago, and she was in a quandary, and she said, Dr. Latham, I'm not quite sure how to handle this. Our son came to me and said, Mom, I want to have a video party at the house Saturday night, and I want to invite a bunch of friends over. And the mother said, well, what video are you wanting to show? And she told me that it was an R-rated video that contained obscene language, violence, and so on. And she said, I told my son that that sort of thing just was not acceptable in our home. And he said, well, if you won't let me have it in our house, my friend Billy said his mother would hold you at their house. And the mother called this mother, and Billy's mother said, yes, if they're going to watch that kind of thing, I want them to do it at our home and not out in theaters. Now, I'm sure that mother's intentions were good, but I'm telling you folks, it was dead wrong. When my wife and I taught our children what our expectations were about what was allowed, acceptable in our home, we were very explicit. None of those things, you see. Sure, and I'll give you a protest. Well, we can't see it here, we'll still somebody else's house. Then we're going to see. And we just simply said, well, we're sorry if you choose to do that. But we're glad that you understand what is acceptable in our home. In our home, violence, the trivialization of sex, the profaning of deity, those things are not accepted in this house. This house is a safe zone. You see, if something is going to glorify violence, profane deity, or trivialize sex, that simply is not acceptable in this home. And sure, they went out and saw some of this junk elsewhere. But what were they learning, ladies and gentlemen, about our home? What were they learning about our values? I remember one time we found a magazine in the room of one of our kids. We told him in advance. We said, you guys, I just want you to know that these things will just not be allowed to violate the sanctity of this home. And if we go into your rooms and find them there, we're just going to destroy them, not say anything. And if there are illegal substances, we may have to take legal action. If you're breaking the law at home, there's no better than breaking the law on the streets. Because the kids can play. You're going to come to my room? Well, we don't know. It's not their room, it's my room. We're just nice parents. We'll let them have a whole room for themselves. We're welcome in there anytime we want to go in there. We didn't do that just in a harsh way. Just like, no. And occasionally, I can think of 3 occasions in all, we found things in there that were unacceptable. We just destroyed them. No questions asked. We just kept right on smiling. And that was the end of it. Now, you go into the homes of our 6 children today. Do you ever see R-rated movies? Never. Do you see pretty magazines? Never. You see, they went through those adolescent years. But just remember this thing. As adults, children will reflect the value system that you model. Our sons are dentists, and dentistry is a very stressful occupation. You know, they spend the whole day working in about 3 cubic inches of space. And I was in the car with our oldest son one day. He picked me up at the airport, and we were driving home to his home. And he said, Dad, after a long day of dentistry, I found this tape, I just love it, it relaxes me. So this was a kid that liked to kiss as a boy. He said, listen to this. I don't know what in the world is even putting that tape. He shoved it in as a symphonic piece of music. Our boys sent Louise and I tickets to accompany them to Phantom of the Opera. You see, as adults, they will reflect our values. But while you're going through those difficult times, you would never think that you were having the slightest positive effect on their lives. And why? Because they are so caught up in all of this behavioral noise. Rolling on. You'd be so proud of it. You see, if we pay attention to that, yeah, thanks. I found this cartoon. I said she could go and do whatever she wanted. She's married down to warrior princess or vampire slayer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I bring this thing to a close, I'm going to talk to you about something about the media. 43% of all youth violence in America today has its origins in what children see in television. 43% has to do with what kids see on television. 27% has its origins in how parents interact with their children. Parents who hit children, strike children, scream children at home, produce kids who hit and strike and scream outside of home. 70%, think about it, folks, 70% of youth violence in America today has its origins in what happens within the walls of our homes. My dear friend, Dr. Hill Walker, University of Oregon, the world's authority on youth violence, recently published an article that contained this quote. Long-term exposure to media violence does two things. It desensitizes children and youth to violent acts, and it makes individuals more likely to commit violent acts. The media's denial of this evidence is nearly identical to the tobacco industry's responses to scientific evidence of negative health effects of tobacco use. Media violence serves as a social toxin that can poison the wellspring of our society. And that is precisely what's happening. We are leading ourselves down a primrose path. Ladies and gentlemen, if we think that we can put a television set in every kid's bedroom and expect that child to monitor on his or her own what should or should not be viewed. That stuff is killing us as a society. It is the social toxin that was destroying the wellspring of society. But all of this comes to is this. What I'm asking you to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to create an environment in your home where the general level of positive reinforcement is high. Because when the general level of positive reinforcement is high, the infamous integral behavior is low. It is a cause and effect relationship, a functional relationship. What I've discussed with you this evening is designed to help us raise the general level of positive reinforcement in our families so far as our teenagers are concerned. And I'm telling you, it